ASEAN's ascendancy, the rise of a regional bloc on the global stage. Introduction. Over the past 2 decades, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, has evolved from a relatively modest regional grouping into a pivotal actor in the international system, comprised of 10 diverse member states: Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, the Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. ASEAN is increasingly shaping economic, diplomatic, and strategic dynamics in Asia and beyond. As the global order transitions towards multipolarity and regional blocs grow in relevance, ASEAN's role as a convener, mediator, and economic powerhouse is becoming more pronounced. This article explores the structural and geopolitical drivers behind ASEAN's growing global influence, examines the institutional frameworks that underpin its regional integration and diplomatic reach, and assesses the challenges it faces in asserting a unified voice on the international stage. ASEAN's foundations and evolution. Established on the 8th of August 1967 with the signing of the Bangkok Declaration, ASEAN was born in the shadow of Cold War tensions and regional insecurity. Its early priorities focused on economic cooperation and political stability among Southeast Asian countries. Over time, ASEAN evolved from a loosely connected forum into a rule-based regional organization with a strong emphasis on consensus, non-interference, and incremental progress. The 2007 ASEAN Charter institutionalized the bloc, giving it legal personality and setting out its objectives, principles, and decision-making mechanisms. This formalization marked a turning point, enabling ASEAN to position itself more assertively in global affairs. Today, the bloc represents over 680 million people and commands a combined GDP of more than $3.6 trillion, making it the world's 5th largest economy when taken as a single entity, World Bank 2023. Economic integration and trade leadership. A key driver of ASEAN's rising influence is its commitment to economic integration. The ASEAN Economic Community, AEC, formally established in 2015, seeks to create a single market and production base characterized by the free flow of goods, services, investment, skilled labor, and capital. While implementation has faced uneven progress, the AEC has contributed to rising intra-ASEAN trade and greater integration with global markets. ASEAN's trade strategy extends beyond its borders. Through a network of free trade agreements, FTAs, including those with China, South Korea, Japan, India, Australia, and New Zealand, ASEAN has positioned itself as a central node in the global supply chain. Its most ambitious initiative to date is the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, RCEP, signed in 2020 and entering into force in 2022. Anchored by ASEAN and joined by 15 Asia-Pacific countries, including China and Japan, RCEP is the world's largest trade pact, covering 30% of global GDP and 28% of the world's population. ASEAN Secretariat, 2022. ASEAN's centrality in RCEP has enhanced its global economic profile and demonstrated its convening power, particularly in a period when the multilateral trading system faces fragmentation. Diplomatic centrality and strategic relevance. Beyond trade, ASEAN's diplomatic importance has grown substantially. The bloc's core principle of ASEAN centrality refers to its role as a hub for regional dialogue and cooperation. ASEAN-led platforms such as the ASEAN Regional Forum, ARF, the East Asia Summit, EAS, and the ASEAN Defense Ministers Meeting Plus, ADMM Plus, have become essential venues for major powers, including the United States, China, India, Japan, Russia, and the EU, to engage in multilateral diplomacy. This convening power is underpinned by ASEAN's perceived neutrality and adherence to non-alignment. In an era of intensifying US-China rivalry, ASEAN provides a rare forum where all actors are present and dialogue remains open. The bloc's emphasis on diplomacy, peaceful dispute resolution, and consensus building has allowed it to act as a moderating force in a highly contested region. The Indo-Pacific concept, now central to strategic thinking in Washington, Tokyo, Canberra, and New Delhi, places ASEAN at the heart of global security frameworks. ASEAN's own ASEAN Outlook on the Indo-Pacific, 2019, positions the region as inclusive, rules-based, and focused on connectivity and sustainable development, offering a counterpoint to confrontational approaches. Supply chain realignment and investment appeal. ASEAN's geostrategic location, bridging the Pacific and Indian Oceans and proximate to China, has made it a natural beneficiary of global supply chain realignment. The COVID-19 pandemic, followed by geopolitical shocks such as the Ukraine war and growing tensions over Taiwan, have led multinational firms to diversify their manufacturing bases. This has accelerated the China Plus One strategy, with countries like Vietnam, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Thailand attracting record levels of foreign direct investment, FDI. Vietnam, in particular, has emerged as a leading manufacturing hub for electronics and textiles, with major firms such as Apple, Samsung, and Foxconn expanding operations there. Meanwhile, Indonesia and Malaysia are positioning themselves as hubs for electric vehicle EV production, green technology, and digital services. According to UNCTAD's World Investment Report 2023, ASEAN attracted over $220 billion in FDI in 2022, making it one of the most attractive regions globally. Economic resilience, young and tech-savvy populations, and accelerating infrastructure development contribute to this growing appeal. Climate leadership and sustainable development. Another dimension of ASEAN's rising influence lies in its engagement with global environmental and sustainability goals. Although the region is among the most vulnerable to climate change, it is also demonstrating increasing agency in shaping green transition narratives. Under Indonesia's chairmanship in 2023, ASEAN placed climate financing, energy cooperation, and carbon market development at the center of its regional agenda. Several ASEAN countries, notably Singapore, Indonesia, and Vietnam, are launching carbon trading schemes and exploring cross-border renewable energy grids. The ASEAN Plan of Action for Energy Cooperation, APEC, outlines a roadmap for scaling up renewables, improving energy efficiency, and enhancing grid connectivity across the region. ASEAN's engagement with international climate forums, such as COP28 in Dubai, reflects its growing role in global climate diplomacy. ASEAN also aligns its initiatives with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, particularly in areas such as urban sustainability, digital inclusion, and disaster resilience. As major development banks, such as the Asian Development Bank, ADB, and the World Bank, increase green funding, ASEAN stands to benefit from multilateral partnerships focused on sustainable infrastructure and climate mitigation. Expanding partnerships and strategic outreach. ASEAN's diplomatic weight is further evident in the growing number of countries seeking closer ties with the Bloc. The European Union was elevated to a strategic partner in 2020, and in subsequent years, Canada and the United Kingdom followed suit. These partnerships span trade, digital regulation, maritime security, education, and climate cooperation. India's Act East policy has deepened ties with ASEAN across defense, trade, and connectivity, while Australia has intensified its engagement through the ASEAN-Australia Comprehensive Strategic Partnership. The Gulf Cooperation Council, GCC, has also entered into formal dialogues with ASEAN, reflecting growing interregional cooperation. ASEAN's strategic partnerships are guided by its Dialogue Partner framework, a diplomatic mechanism that formalizes engagement with major global actors. As of 2024, ASEAN maintains formal dialogue relations with 11 partners, including the US, China, Japan, South Korea, India, Russia, and the EU. ASEAN Secretariat 2024. Internal challenges to unity and credibility. Despite these advances, ASEAN's capacity to act as a unified global actor remains constrained by internal divisions. Disparate political systems, from Singapore's technocratic governance to Myanmar's military junta, complicate efforts to articulate a cohesive regional vision. The principle of non-interference, long regarded as sacrosanct, has come under scrutiny as regional and international stakeholders demand greater accountability, particularly in response to the Myanmar crisis. The February 2021 military coup in Myanmar and the ensuing crackdown on civil society has tested ASEAN's legitimacy. While the Bloc adopted a 5-point consensus to address the crisis, its implementation has been hampered by divisions within the group and the junta's non-compliance. Frustration over ASEAN's handling of Myanmar has sparked criticism from rights groups, Western governments, and even within ASEAN itself, notably from Malaysia and Indonesia. Similarly, divergent interests in the South China Sea continue to prevent ASEAN from reaching a binding consensus on maritime security. Despite ongoing negotiations with China on a code of conduct, progress remains slow, and unilateral actions by claimants undermine ASEAN's role as a conflict mediator. The road ahead: consolidating influence in a multipolar world. As the international system transitions away from unipolarity, ASEAN finds itself in a unique position. Its central location, economic dynamism, and diplomatic versatility make it an indispensable player in global affairs. Yet to consolidate its influence, ASEAN must overcome institutional inertia, strengthen internal coherence, and build mechanisms to ensure the implementation of its policy commitments. There is growing recognition among ASEAN leaders that the bloc must become more assertive in shaping its future. Calls for greater strategic autonomy, enhanced decision-making capacity, e.g., majority voting in limited areas, and deeper integration of digital, green, and health sectors are gaining traction. Efforts to expand the ASEAN Community Vision 2025 into a long-term strategic plan reflect this forward-looking mindset. In a world increasingly shaped by technology, climate action, and strategic competition, ASEAN's ability to maintain relevance will depend on its adaptability, unity, and the strength of its partnerships. Conclusion: ASEAN's growing global influence is no longer a matter of speculation, but a geopolitical reality. Through economic integration, strategic diplomacy, and soft balancing between major powers, the bloc is carving a distinct space in world affairs. While internal challenges persist, ASEAN's institutional resilience, policy pragmatism, and rising international profile position it as a critical actor in the emerging multipolar world order. From supply chains to climate governance, from regional peace to digital transformation, ASEAN is not merely responding to global trends. It is increasingly shaping them. The decades ahead will reveal whether the bloc can translate potential into sustained power, but the trajectory is already clear. Southeast Asia, under the ASEAN banner, is stepping confidently into the global arena. References. A heartfelt light. To every soul whose hand did give, you've helped me dream, helped me live. In darkest hours your light came through, with hearts so kind, so pure, so true. Your gifts, like stars in deepest night, have steered me gently toward the light. Each coin, each word, each silent prayer, a thread of hope, so rich, so rare. My eyes once dimmed now seek the skies, and slowly, clearer visions rise. Because of you, I dare to see the world again, its grace, its plea. Your compassion's flame will not just stay with me alone. It lights the way for others wandering through despair to feel the warmth of selfless care. You've shown what love in action means, in quiet ways through giving scenes. You've built a bridge from soul to soul and made the broken feel more whole. So let this thanks rise like a song, a melody both soft and strong. May your example gently call more hearts to rise to give. To fall into the joy of lifting pain, of planting hope where none remains. Your kindness walks beside me still, a light, a love, a living will.
forget to hit that subscribe button to show your support.